One-foot-flipper.
Hi, Paige here, the 1-Foot Flipper. How's everybody doing today? I, myself, am in a much better mood than I was yesterday when I thought for sure I had permanently lost 600 listings. I have since then recovered those listings. So I thought today's video is going to be all about drafts because it was 600 drafts that I thought I lost. And so let's just, before I get into it, shout out to Trash for Cash Trash to Cash podcast. Apparently Carry American Arbitrage has already noticed that I am selling death pile monsters, and he mentioned it to ADH Dave, who sells death pile support pigs, and that was kind of cool to hear myself mentioned on there. Did a few jokes about it, then they moved on. All right, let's start off. First thing, we're going to talk about drafts. One of the best uses for drafts I found, even if you don't want to do a draft bank or anything else, is you're out at the garage sale or the Goodwill or you're anywhere else and you scan that item on your phone or you type it in and you're going to price check it. You know, you're like, oh, is this Transformers guy any good? You take the little photo and you price check and you pull it up and you're like, oh yeah, he's $17.99, yay! What you want to do is go ahead and click through to one of those items and hit sell one like this or sell similar. I forget what it says on the phone. For some reason, I think it's phrased differently than on the computer. And that's going to drop you a draft right into your drafts that's going to start out with a functional title and probably a bunch of item specifics already. So when you go to list this little yay purple transformer, you're already going to have a start going. Now, the only thing is you got to be careful with that. If you also use a draft bank, you don't want to be launching those half-finished or unfinished drafts. Usually it's not an issue because I don't think it'll launch if there's no price on it anyway, so always put your price on last. All right, let's do a sale. I sold this vintage North Face Denali extra large men's made in the USA, 90s. $89.99. This did have 10% promoted on it though, so I'm not going to make the full bucks on it. I got that actually from a viewer. I have only ever had one viewer package. When I was really first starting out, one viewer, he had some stuff he thought might be cool for me to sell, and he didn't have the time nor need the money, so he just thought it was cool and he sent them to me. Some people seem to have that happen to them constantly. That's the only time that's ever happened to me. So, hey, kind of cool. Thanks to him. He wanted to be anonymous, so I'm not going to mention his name. Now, in the past, there were a lot of stories about drafts randomly vanishing, and that even got me to stop using drafts for a while. But that issue seems to be fully resolved now. And after it was resolved, something I noticed that's popped up is drafts now have a solid expiration date. It says in the drafts exactly when that draft is going to expire. And I have no reason to distrust that piece of information because usually everything else on eBay that has a timer seems to function correctly. Their programmers at least seem to be good enough to program a timer that works. So I think that's going to work. What else we got? I sold death pile monsters to 4 separate viewers. First one was from Dave Bouganeer, the Bouganeer store, Bouganeer shop. I'll have links to everybody's stores down in the below. He says, love your channel. Thanks for keeping it real. Hey, Dave, thanks for keeping it real as well. I notice your comments all the time. Thanks so much. Another one was Jacqueline. She's sun porn on eBay. Got a great looking store. She didn't leave a comment, but I will have a link to her store down below. Blues Valley Finds on eBay, and she's a YouTube subscriber. She said, love your videos, and I wanted to show some support and appreciation of all the useful info you've given me. Hope all is well with you, and tell Jules from one of her fans. Thank you so much. Julie always loves to hear from anybody who notices her. Unless you're like weird, creepy men, then don't notice my daughter. But ladies, moms, everybody else with positive things, yeah, go ahead, notice her all you want. The fourth one comes from Celeste. I just wanted to say that I enjoy your videos and I'm learning good tips from you. I'm new to reselling and appreciate your positive attitude. I'm looking forward to getting this fun item to help remind me to get my death pile listed. Thanks. Signed, Celeste. I'll have a link to Celeste's store down below as well, and thank you, Celeste. All right, our number 3 is you can supposedly have 5,000 drafts listed, and that is what messed me up, because yesterday I dumped 1,600 items. I ended 1,600 items, sold them similar to drafts, and deleted the original listings. I was doing some major store maintenance. This is probably the sort of thing you'd never do, but I had specific reasons for doing it. And then I go to look at my drafts, and I've only got 1,000. Well, it turns out that there is a bug in the drafts that it's only 1,000 of them show up, but you still have the other ones. Now, I'm not sure if it's only showing the 1,000 newest, or if you change the orders of the things, it's going to change what shows. But I do know that if you launch or delete drafts, those hidden ones are going to filter right back in and still be there. So luckily, I didn't actually lose those listings, and I can probably just go ahead with the plan I had before, which is dumping about 1/4 of my larger store into drafts, and then so I can reduce my store subscription level, and then filtering them back in as things sell. Sold this Department 56 Heritage Village Ichabod Crane's Cottage with lights, $14.99. Bought this in the summer, sold it in the summer. This is certainly more valuable in the wintertime, but you know, I'm not going to price it for winter dollars. I'll just sell it now and get the money right now, because it does take up a bit of space. I bought a whole tub of Department 56 at the same sale. I didn't get a giveaway price on the stuff, but I'm going to do okay on all of it. Okay, our 4th thing to talk about is draft banks. If you don't know what a draft bank is, that is where instead of launching listings, you launch everything to draft. Every single thing to draft, and then you launch things from draft. This allows you to smooth out your listings and launch the same amount of items every single day. Instead of listing 3 items today, 73 items tomorrow, 6 items on Thursday, and so on. I sold this vintage 90s Quick Trip mug, Aladdin, $16.99. Got this at the St. Louis Goodwill Bins downtown at the Let's Do Lunch podcast meet that we had there. Normally I don't go to the downtown one. It's unknown as to whether or not my daughter located this or Rural Squirrel. My daughter said she found it, and Rural Squirrel said she gave it to me. I'm not, or at least she thinks she did, so I'm not actually sure as to who actually found this. Could have been either one of them. Now, what I like to do with my draft banks is either I'm launching a percent of my draft bank every day, or I'm going for a specific number. These days I'm going for a specific number, which is 21. So I launch my 7 most expensive items in the draft, my 7 cheapest items in the draft, my 7 oldest items in the draft. That means I'm never going to time any of those drafts out. And that keeps a very steady quality and quantity of items going into my store, instead of it mixing all up all over the place. Now, if you're not going for a specific number, instead I also used to do 10%. I would just launch a total of 10% of my drafts, and I would split that up evenly between the most expensive, the cheapest, and the oldest. Both of those work. I sold a Bachmann G-Scale. Those are the big trains. A-frame wood bridge, brand new in box, $29.69. Came from the big train buy a while back that never got its own video. I really wanted to make a video for the train buy, but I couldn't really video when I was picking it up because the situation was hurried. My wife and kids were there, and it was, well, I have one kid, but her friends were there too. And then I couldn't get all the stuff laid out once I got it home, so it just never got a video. 6th thing, we're going to talk about drafts. If you have a regular markdown strategy like I do, I mark down items usually when it's about to hit 90 days. I end it in the listing and sell similar. If you want to, you can complicate your situation by instead dumping those things, selling those similar into the draft bank instead, and letting them filter out over time. Maybe eBay will be more apt to see those as new listings if they haven't been up for a while. I don't know. I'm not as much of an expert on that, but it's a thing you could do, and it can help with the variation on what you've got going into your store every day. Now, if you're doing it that way, you're definitely going to want to launch based on a percentage per day instead of based on an exact number, because you're going to be dumping an unknown amount of old items into that draft bank every day. Sold a Night Ranger album, Man in Motion. It's a promo. It has a hype sticker. Sold for $19.99. I only listed this last week, and it sold full price, so nothing to complain about there. Well, actually, I'm assuming Man in Motion is the single off of this. I don't remember what that sounds like. If something else is a single, somebody let me know. Post it in the comments. Seventh thing is, a draft bank, especially if you really work on it, it's going to allow you to take long periods of time off of eBay doing nothing but shipping, as long as you build that work up in advance. Because we all know eBay really consists of sourcing, listing, and shipping, and often those are in even amounts. It depends on exactly what you do. But with that draft bank, if you want to, you can shut it all down but shipping for a long time, as long as you've got that draft bank built up. If you build up a big enough draft bank, you can shut down. You can go to extremely part-time. All you do is ship. You can go do that for a month if you build that up in advance, which can be good, because otherwise us eBay sellers, we don't get paid vacation. We don't get vacation really at all. I don't think I've ever taken a full day off of eBay where I didn't at least do something. And usually it's hours, if not most of a full day. I sold a mixed lot of 50 wooden stamps, Stampin' Up! And other varieties, $16.20. And I sold this Mantic Armada gaming map. What this basically is this is a giant mouse pad, 4 feet on a side, and it's got an ocean scene on it, and the corners have some graphics and whatever. And this is so you guys can get out all their little plastic war game boats and have those giant battles with them, and then put terrain on their islands and everything else. This sold for $35.99. Only listed it a few days ago. Went on a 10% off offer. There weren't any of these on eBay, but I did notice that they were brand new in the Mantic store for $59.99. So I figured the $39.99 was a good price point to start a used one at, and it sold quickly. Last thing, even if you don't use drafts for anything else, you ever have the situation where some lunatic is going nuts about one of your items, sending you message after message, and you absolutely do not want to deal with this person, nor do you want them to buy the item in any way via their own name, their grandma's name, their neighbor James's name. You don't want to deal with it. What you do is end that item, sell it similar to your drafts, and then you put it up in a few weeks. And in that time, the lunatic will have moved on. They will have found something else to obsess over, and you'll never hear from them again. I have done this so many times. Usually it is Pokemon cards or anime-related collectibles, weird toy stuff. It generally doesn't tend to be very mainstream items. It really tends to be the sort of items that would attract, let's just say, immature people. All right, I think that's all I've got for today. Thanks to everybody for watching, subscribing, hitting the bell, hitting the like thing. Hey, have you told the guy at Quick Trip about my channel? Because I haven't seen anyone at Quick Trip in the comments at all, which is too weird. Because everybody in the 7-Eleven and the guys who hang out behind the 7-Eleven, they're posting in the comments constantly, and nobody from Quick Trip is. So please, tell them about my channel. Thanks. Bye. Off topic, but hey, do you remember that movie Mean Girls? Where the girl from South Africa comes to the high school and she immediately meets two groups of friends. One group of outcast, nerdy friends who are supposedly her real friends, and then the plastics who are the popular mean girls. And the outcasts want her to infiltrate the mean girls so they can enact some sort of revenge on them. And in the movie, supposedly the outcasts are her real friends all along, but she spends almost no time with the outcast at all, and they're just using her to enact their revenge. I think really the mean girls were her real friends all along. What do you think about that? Post that in the comments.